So it's great to welcome Matt and Mel Harris. I've invited them on to talk about Challenge Valleys, which is up in Aberdare, I believe. Matt and Mel, just welcome. Thanks for agreeing to take the time to come and talk to us and to share what God is doing in your part of Wales. So Challenge Valleys. In fact, before I go on to that, let me ask you to introduce yourself. That's always a good start, isn't it? Introduce yourself and let people know who you are and exactly where you're based, would you?
Yeah, no problem. So I'm Mel Harris, married to Matt Harris. We've been married for 22 years. I'm from the Rhondda, originally from Ferndale. So we completely opposite end of the country because Matthew's from Norwich. So
right.
Yes. So you go.
Yeah, well, you've just said most.
I'm saying your full name.
Yeah. So I'm Matt Harris, obviously, and as Mel said, I'm from Norwich in Norfolk, and but I've lived in Wales for probably about 24 years, something like that.
Okay. So, most of your life, then, Matt. Most of your life.
Yeah. Most of my life.
Most of your life. Lovely. Yeah. So you're practically Welsh. Lovely.
Welsh adopted. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Great. So listen, Challenge Valleys. Tell us about Challenge Valleys. Think of the situation where somebody who has never come across Challenge Valleys before, okay, and you're just explaining to the person what is Challenge Valleys. Go on, explain to us.
So Challenge Valleys is an outreach team, basically. It's made up of me and Matt, and we've got 4 full-time volunteers as well, who are an absolute huge blessing to us. So we based here in Aberdare, in Penwine, in a place called Oasis House, which we had a huge blessing. The building was given to us. So we work from there. Even though we have a base, we very rarely here because Challenge Valleys goes out and about into the valleys, as well as Brecon, just to show people and tell people that there is hope from a life trapped by freedom, by a life trapped of addiction. And so our messages is on the back of our t-shirts, it's on all of our publication. We're on Facebook and we're also on Instagram, just to say to people that there is freedom from addiction through us pointing them to Jesus, because we can't do that, but Jesus can break the chains of addiction. We work mainly with drugs and alcohol addiction due to our background of working with Teen Challenge a number of years ago. So that is in a nutshell what Challenge Valleys is. We also go into prisons. We had a first opportunity to do a chapel in prison last week. So the work is kind of, which was great. It was
which prison?
Prisoners from the wings come in. Cardiff prison. The work, we just find it is growing and expanding out. Yeah. So that's brilliant. Our message is freedom from addiction. Yeah, that's what Challenge Valleys is.
Matt, I don't think you could have done any better than that, could you?
Not at all.
But if there's anything you want to add, come on, add. But if there's not,
I don't think I can add anything to that.
I didn't think you could, but I just wanted to be polite and just give you the invitation. But listen, most of the work you do is with, like you say, drug addicts and alcohol addicts. Okay. When we spoke, it's a few weeks ago now, when we spoke just to, get a sense before we had this conversation. Matt, you gave a phrase that stuck with me. Okay. And you said the guys behind the doors. Is that what you said? Yeah. Is that the correct term that you used? The guys behind the doors.
Yeah, that was something in the early days. Really, it was part of us setting up Challenge Valleys, closing the drop-in Challenge Valleys. Was that I felt the Lord had impressed on me through a series of events of things that I'd seen in work, that we were to try and reach those behind the doors that nobody sees. So in addiction, quite often, especially in the valleys towns, you've got what we would call them a bit like the street community, who everybody sees these guys in addiction. They're always around, they're always hanging around the streets and that kind of stuff. But through a series of events, I was I went to a house and it was full of people in addiction, and nobody else in the community would have known these guys were there. There was a house full of them, and all they did was used in the house, and the only time they would leave the house is to go and get whatever they needed and bring it back. And I felt like the Lord wanted us to go out as Challenge Valleys and to find those that are behind the doors that nobody sees, who are trapped in addiction, and to reach those that really want the help. So yeah, that's where that came from, and yeah, it's sort of something that's really close to our hearts, really.
Yeah, because when you used that term, it really struck me, because what came out of it for me was that you were describing this world behind the door that we don't know about. You know about, obviously, because you've been behind that door and you've seen it and you've witnessed it, and it's obviously left an impression on your heart, and that's what drives you forward. But I'd say for the majority of people, we, and I would include me in that, we have no idea of what's going on behind those closed doors. And so well done, guys, for just being prepared to go the other side of that door, to reach out with Jesus's love, but Jesus's hope for freedom as well. So yeah, listen, what does a typical day? Well, you probably don't have a typical day, do you? You don't clock in at 9 o'clock, I suppose, do you?
No, we don't.
So this might be a difficult question, okay? But what I would say is, what does a typical day look like for you? What are the sorts of things that you will do during the day, in order to outreach and in order to connect with people who need your help, who need to hear this good news that there is freedom and deliverance in Jesus? So go on. What's your day like?
Yeah, it is varied, you're right. And often our best laid plans often go by the wayside. But we do try and consistently meet as a team, first of all, I think, because we deal with such darkness out there, being on the coalface, being on with the guys really in the trenches. For us, it's important as much as we possibly can. So we start the day with a devotion, just a time to chat together and to pray together, more importantly, to prepare ourselves to go out there. We're not out there every day, because from Oasis House we run a pantry as well as furniture recycling. That's on a Monday and a Wednesday morning, and then in between and in around those times we go out into the valleys. We got links with different churches throughout Rhondda, throughout Blackwood, Brecon, and so we go out from here and set up surgeries, because what we find is, or what we have found was, somebody from, say, Hope Church Rhondda, for example, might ring us. They may have a person there at the time, and we were like, wow, we may have missed the phone call because we were doing something else. And so it was always a little bit hit and miss. So as a result, we were like, how can we resolve this? So they know that we're there regularly, and we know that we're there regularly. So as a result of that kind of stuff, is pushed us towards setting up what we call little surgeries. So we've got, how many running now? I think we're up to 5 surgeries that we operate. Yeah. So this morning we were in Neath, for example, linking in with all that goes on in the Neath community. So it's called the Gathering Place. So we go there on a Monday morning. On a Tuesday morning we go to Annecia. And we're just finding at the minute that, the pastors of Annecia, they've been through the Teen Challenge program. They've had a life of addiction themselves. They've been clean for 15 years, and they now operating and leading a church in Tony. So that's a great link for us. We know them as well from your days working in Teen Challenge. So these links are just God-given as well for this work to kind of expand and explode. On a Wednesday, we're in Hope Church Rhondda. That one has been great because there's a food bank there already. So, and then Citizens Advice are in there, housing are in there, and we do the drug addiction support, alcohol addiction support as well.
Do you do these clinics yourselves? The both of you now. Do you have to do them yourselves, or have you got a team that?
Yeah, and the team as well. Yeah. So, we were in Neath, and then somebody else will be in Tonpandy. And some days there's going to be 2 running. So on Fridays now, there's one starting in Tredegar, and we were already in Merthyr. So so the team was split up then. So that's kind of that, the surgeries. But then from the surgeries, somebody may have come in and have gone like, I need to get away. I'm sick of this lifestyle. I've tried everything. I don't know what to do, but I know I can't carry on. So we'll arrange then to meet them. Sometimes once we've made that first application, then it's a case of getting a doctor to fill out the form, linking in with the drug support agency, probation sometimes. As well. Sometimes that can come from a prison referral too. So we're linking in with Dyfodol, another agency within the prison, the Message Wales, and now we're there as well, which we have a link with to help us with the process while they're in. Because often we start the ball rolling and then they recall to prison, for example, just because that's their lifestyle and part of the chaos. But again, God's gone before us and provided the Message Wales. That's how we went into the prison to do a service there week last Sunday.
So for the first time, was that the first time?
First time, yeah.
I'm sure you were thrilled.
It was a privilege. It was huge. So yes, it's appointments, and sometimes if they don't come through the surgeries, they may come through probation. The referral may come through probation, or if it's come from a recommendation of a family. We try and push them to the surgery as much as possible, but it's not always practical. Sometimes it's a little bit further afield and we have no surgery. So it'll be a case of going out to that appointment then and meeting them where they're at, finding them. Sometimes it's hard, but we get them, take them for a coffee, chat with them, fill out an application form in some back of cars or whatever it takes. We'll do like whatever it takes to get them there. And then we follow that process all the way through, make sure the application form is submitted and just help them through they don't know what day it is sometimes. And so we just try to be that constant source of help for them, and then take them to when the day comes, when we finally have an intake date after interviews and accommodating all that, we drive them there ourselves. So we know that they're handed over safely.
Brilliant. You've got to have a heart to do this, and obviously God's given you the heart to do it, both of you, because I'm sure that there are challenges. There will be absolutely lovely times when you see the fruit and you're rejoicing. There are challenging times as well. So I'm going to ask you about challenging times, and I'm going to ask you about those times where you think, this is worth it. This is worth it. Which one do you want first? Do you want me to ask you about the challenges first, or do you want me to ask you? Go on, Matt. Go on.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we always say about this work is that it's not glamorous. I think sometimes as churches we've been guilty, and Christians being guilty of just sharing the really highs, the real good trophy stories. But the reality is that there's a lot of heartache, and some of that as over time we've learned to kind of try and manage the heartbreaking stuff, because it's a roller coaster. Sometimes we always go on a journey with somebody, because the journey of walking out of addiction for some of these guys, sometimes it's instantaneous, and other times it is a journey of highs and lows. But we always say we'll go on a journey with them, and sometimes the reality is that has led to death. We've had to speak in funerals with some guys that we've been on journeys with, and that's been tough. So it is. We get lots of people who want to get involved. They hear what we do and they say, we want to get involved with that.
Sounds glamorous.
And they get involved for the right reasons. I don't doubt that at all. And then within a few days or weeks, they're saying, wow, this is not what I thought. This is tough, but we believed key, like you said at the beginning, we believed that we are called to this. And I don't think that you can do it unless you do feel or believe that you are called to it.
Absolutely.
We know that we know that we know. This is something that is we've wrestled with over the years and said, Lord, if this is not of you, then please take it off us. And we just keep coming back to the same point. So, it is something that we believe we're called to. And even through the heartache and stuff, we do, you see God's purposes, and we're only here because of his grace, and his strength. We couldn't do it otherwise.
Absolutely.
And the support network around us. Oasis Community Church, they support me and Mel financially to do what we do. And, when we're looking tired, the leadership team say to us, you guys are looking shattered. You need to take some time out.
Brilliant.
And we need that accountability, and we need that support around us. Again, without that local church support, I wouldn't touch this with a barge pole.
Yeah, like you say, you have to be called to it. And I was just thinking as I was listening to you how the reason that the low points, the deaths and the speaking in the funeral, the reason that those are so challenging for you is because you have a heart connection to this work. It's not a sort of a 9 to 5 or I'll get a job, and I'll see how it goes. It's not. You guys have got a heart connection. Your heart's in this. Yeah. So when those low times come, it sort of affects your heart. It's your heart because of the calling that you've got. So yeah. Thank you for that. What about some good news stories? Let's take it up.
Yeah.
Good news stories.
Now. I mean, it's great. I think going back to the behind the closed doors, we felt it was right to shut the drop in order to go out on the streets and almost leave the 99, and go after the one. And so we went into the Gurnos in Merthyr for 6 weeks and just met, not that we kind of knew this at the time, because we didn't find this story out until a long time after. And I hope you get to meet him a little bit later. But we were out and about in the Gurnos, just handing out some leaflets and just saying to people, look, you haven't got to live like this. Bumped into this guy called Terry and his buddy, Sean. And Sean was the one that showed a lot of interest, but nothing came of that. But Terry is the one that didn't bite our arm off straight away. He was very quiet. He took in all the information, didn't he? And then a couple of days later, he was in the job centre and found our number, and my mobile number in his pocket, and he ran. And what'd been amazing was we have an intercession team, and they are just dynamite. So there'd been a situation. I was like, I'd been given a different name. It didn't go well. I was like, this guy wants help. I can't find him. I've rung the agencies, and I said, just pray. And within 20 minutes, half hour, I had the phone call. So and he was going, my name's Terry, and I need help. And we found out months. He went into rehab. We got him into Teen Challenge. And
don't say too much, because I'm gonna have a word with Terry, aren't I?
Yeah. So I leave him tell you the rest. But that's what happens, is the good news story, and that was a God appointment. I will leave him fill in the details, because it was just one of them that you just knew God had gone before both him and us, really, and just met in the Gurnos. And
I'm looking forward to having a chat with Terry, and he, like you say, he'll fill in the details. And anything else stand out, as far as brilliant, that was, it's worth it.
I think it's I mean, there's another lady that we dealt with who was in her 70s and struggled with alcohol, and she had approached us, and we were like, wow, this is a new one. I wonder if the rehab will even take somebody of that age. And anyway, long story short, she ended up going into Christian rehab and coming out, and she volunteers with us as well. And she will say, I just want the rest of my life to be serving the Lord, and to be better than those years of addiction. And so that was wonderful. And
Dylan, I don't think you can do this without talking about Dylan. A guy from Merthyr again, 31 years. 31 years in addiction, 25 years on heroin.
Wow.
And a major long story, cut very short, but Dylan's now working full time, actually on the Heads of the Valleys Road. So and he's been sticking at that for 6 months. And he's learning lessons. He's hidden from life for 31 years, and so he's just finally passed his theory for his driving. So we're just excited for him to go on to the next stage. Like, he's ready for his test, but that was holding him up. So yeah, just to see him driving and looking after his mum now who's poorly, things like that, just to see the guys living out the practical stuff, but they do the hard yards. They're in the meetings, like they're in church Sunday, they're in prayer meeting on a Wednesday. Like, you can't fault their commitment to continuing that journey as well themselves,
And you talk about highlights. When we take these guys back in to do outreach into their communities, their old communities, to see their old friends, it is incredible. Just to see.
They do a double take.
Just to see them.
I can just, the reason I say wow is because I can just start to imagine, but go on. You're going to tell us.
I can remember taking one of the things that Terry said to us first when he came back was, will you come with me to go and see my old friend? And he said, who I was in addiction with, and I really want to talk to him about getting help himself. And just it was emotional taking him there to see him. The guy saw Terry, and he just got emotional, and it was a privilege for me to actually be a part of that moment, to see them. They were sitting on a walls opposite each other, and just for him to look at Terry and say, wow, I would give my right arm to be how you are now. He said, you look so well. And then Terry's telling him all about what's happened to him, and and the guys, they come back and they're so full of that, they just want to tell people, because they understand what it's like. And I think that for me, to watch people's reactions, even in the prison, taking Terry into the prison, and guys who he knew had known previously going, just double taking, and then saying to other people, like, oh, that's what I want to see for my life.
It's just such a powerful testimony of what Jesus can do and is doing for an individual. It's powerful. It's in front of you, isn't it? Guys like Terry now, it's in front of them. It's in front of you. This is the difference. And it's undeniable as well, isn't it? Just the transformation. Would I be right to think that you're a little bit of a bridge? What I mean by that is you've got the addicts on one side, okay, and then you are this really strong, solid bridge, okay, like one of these sort of, I was going to say old then, but I don't mean old in in age, or the bridges, okay, but you're not. This solid stone bridge, okay, the 200 years old, whatever, the ones I mean, that are solid. And you're a bridge onto the other side where you connect these guys that are in addiction, and women as well, to the services and the Teen Challenge and things that they need access to. Would that be a correct description of what you do?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you walk them across that bridge in a way, don't you?
Yeah.
So
carry them sometimes.
Sorry?
Carry them across sometimes.
I'm sure. I think I'm thinking there could be people who are watching this now, okay, that are interested to connect with you, and it could be connecting with you for a number of reasons. It could be I need help, whether it's alcohol, whether it's drugs, or I need help. And so I'm going to ask you to share in a minute the best way to, if you're coming from that direction, if there's somebody coming from that direction, I need help, how they're going to connect with you, okay? Or it could be, a pastor, church leader who's thinking, they do these clinics around the valleys. I'd love to have a conversation with them and see if they can come into our church and do a clinic, or you call them surgeries, don't you? And do a surgery. So how do people connect with you? Either way, how do they connect with you?
So the main way for anybody who's in addiction, normally a telephone call. They ring us. So our mobile number is 07793 213377. That's the easiest way to get hold of us, either me or Matt. We'll answer the phone anyway, or one of our team members, Emma. So that's the usual admin side of things. But then, like if a pastor wanted us, same thing really. Telephone number, also email is always good. And then we can set up a meet to go along and meet whoever, wherever. We don't mind that. That's at challengevalleys@gmail.com.
Challengevalleys@gmail.com. Okay.
Yeah. We're also on Facebook. So like some of our transformation stories are on there. Where we are during the week is on there. And all sorts. So that's on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook as well. So yeah, and the website is coming. So that's under construction, but we are getting there. So surely, yeah. So that's
brilliant. Nice. So this is my last question now. Okay, if somebody is touched to the extent I want to support these guys, and it could be through prayer, it could be, financially, whatever, is there an opportunity for them to do that? I know you've got an amazing team around you. You've got an amazing team of volunteers, because if you've got 4 full-time volunteers, that's amazing. Then you've got a church around you, okay, and who will tell you look tired, you need a break. That's amazing. So you've obviously got this strong team, which is, like you've said, is key to your success. But if somebody's, listening and they're saying, I'd like to be able to do something to support you, or what are the ways that they can support you?
Yeah, so if anybody, we are now putting a newsletter together. So if anybody wants to stay up to date with us, drop us their email through our email, and we can add them to that one that's going to go out. Our first one, they catch us on our first one, so they'll have everything all together to start the journey with us that way. And our prayer support would just be massive. If anybody wanted details of what we specifically needed prayer for, that would be great, because for us that's the key to everything that we do.
Just contact, first and foremost, if anybody, we're open to chat to anybody. So if you want to chat and know a bit more about what we're doing, then I would say get in touch. And we love meeting people, new people. We just love being out there and getting involved with as many people as one of the things that is part of the vision for the future is that we really have identified gaps in this process. So we're always looking to strengthen it and make it more effective. And so we just keep coming back to the same point, that we need something residential in Wales. Right. And so we are at the moment just desperate to get something residential, a small holding, a building on the edge of the valley somewhere, so that we bookend this process, so that we can take the guys while they wait, prepare them ready for rehab, and then at the other end, when they've done 10, 11 months in rehab, to be able to take them back in to a centre and just help them to get back into society, into local church. And we just want as many people as we can to be involved in that, because we just believe in local church, that local church is the key, for these guys and girls, their freedom, coming back from Christian rehab, is to get settled in and be part of local church. So there's a whole load of stuff. We could talk to you all day.
Yeah. And in fairness to you, you didn't know I didn't know really I was going to ask that question. You didn't know I was going to ask the question, how can people support you? And, this financial side of things. But, with what you're talking about, with your vision of having this small holding, there could be, because, this is the way God works. There could be a major investor out there that's hearing this, that's heard your heart, that's thinking, I like these guys. I'd like to chat further. I don't know. It's not why we do it. We just want to hear what God is doing in Wales. And because the heart that you're expressing for those in addiction, right, is the heart of Jesus. And what you're offering them is a transformed life, and that's what Jesus is offering. That's what this is about, this conversation. But I do feel I wanted to take the opportunity of actually highlighting, that there is a need behind this of prayer, finances, etc. Even though you've got a really strong church, and which is amazing. But yeah, so you didn't know I was going to ask it. I didn't really know I was going to ask it, but let's just wait and see, shall we?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Listen, is there anything else that you want to share before we say goodbye, or is there anything that is on your heart that's important?
Just picking up on the last thing that Matthew said, the reason why we wanted to bookend the process is we lose people in the waiting, and when they come back, they in a way, like obviously they've got to move on from a program because they need to make space for the next, one in addiction coming through. But there is not a lot of facility that end, neither, not a lot of resource. And the figure is quite, well, it's mind-blowing really, because when we speak to Teen Challenge and other organisations, they'll say that, for them to have the best possible chance of staying and not relapsing and going back to that way of living is if they 2 years, like 2 years residential, 2 years being looked after, it increases their chances of not relapsing to 98%.
Wow.
And so we want to be able to be there at the start, and then for them coming out is so key. That's where the rubber hits the road. That's where they've got to put everything into practice. They've gone in somewhere not Christian, as an addict, and then they're coming out and doing life with a clear head, and the things that would stress them out, like even a bill or, a council tax for the first time. What do I do with this? They like panic, stress being a factor. We try and alleviate all that stuff and just break them back in gently into society. So yes, that's why the residential is so key, so we can continue get them there safely and help them with all the reduction of medication, etc. But that's done safely and done well. And then for them to come out to be able to just continue that, they've already done a lot of work, but we know, just by talking to the rehabs, that when we were in Teen Challenge last, like they're saying, whereas we used to start working with a person here, we now back here, the levels of brokenness, even over the last 5 years, are just huge. And so that while they're coming out, they used to come out kind of like further on than they are now, just because the levels of brokenness. So that's even more important for us now to be able to pick them up when they come out as well, so they can have that,
Brilliant.
Is going on.
Yeah, I think I was just listening to the both of you now. Just you're an amazing team. Okay, honestly, now you're an amazing team, and I'll tell you why you're an amazing team. Matt, you shared that vision then of small holding and this what do you call it? Bookends.
Yeah.
This place where you can bring and still nurture the other side, and then Mel, you gave the context of it as far as this is why we want to do it. So yeah, because that brought a lot of value to understanding the vision that Matt had already shared. So brilliant. You make a great team. So listen, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We did talk a few weeks ago about this, and I was moved then, and I'm humbled by what you guys are doing. It's a calling, right? And we call to different things, but just the compassion and the hope that you're offering to really, really desperate people. The hope that we all need in different ways in our lives, because without Jesus, nobody's got any hope. But the way that you're reaching out is amazing. So, thank you. And thank you on behalf of all the listeners. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
I tell you what there, Matt, you sounded like a on the boy then. Thank you for having us. Told you were more Welsh than English now, didn't I?
Welsh, yeah.
Sorry. Bit too far then, didn't I?
No, it's fine.
No, it's true.
Listen, thank you guys. Okay. And, I'm sure there's another conversation to be had at some stage. But for now, thanks very much. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks, Gwen.